Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm your host Sandman. Today we're going to be reviewing the Multipick Artemis electric pick gun. Let's get into it. Before we can do this review, I have to disclose to everybody that I am an ambassador for Multipick, and because of that, this is not only going to be a severely one-sided review, but you get 10% off using MPYT SAND10 at checkout for anything on the entire website. Get 10% off on anything. Limited to 8 items at a time, but give that a try if you would like to buy this. As I said, I am an ambassador for Multipick. I love all their products. I love everything that they put out. I do not get paid for doing reviews, and I get nothing in return for you using a 10% discount code, and I will not get anything in return financially or anything like that for doing a review of this tool. They sent me the tool for review. That's what I get out of it. But guys, this is easily the best electric pick gun in the entire world, on the entire market, hands down. Let's just go ahead and talk about all the reasons why that is. So this small, handy, and yet highly powerful new electric lockpick gun, Artemis from Multipick, small in its dimensions, but big in its success in opening an electric pick that we produce exclusively in different colors and in limited quantities. We have managed to construct an electric lockpick that puts all known dimensions in the shade. The goal was to design a completely new electric pick gun with a clear focus on size and performance. Before I get further, this is a $468 electric pick gun. Let's just call it $500 after taxes, after shipping. $500. Who is that for? Who would spend $500 on an electric pick gun? I'll tell you right now, it's one word: professionals. So professionals that need the small form factor of this, but still the same power and toughness of a larger one and half the weight, then this is what you're going to want to go for. It's an easy tax write-off. Your company pays for it. You tell your boss you need it, even if you don't. Let's talk about that first paragraph, talking about how it's one of the smallest form factors for electric pick gun on the market. Here we have the Artemis, and here we have the Kronos, and then here we have their competitors. This thing over here basically looks like a giant lightsaber. It's ginormous. It doesn't even fit into my screen here. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. Let's take a comparison for the Artemis compared to this guy. It's nearly half the size, Now, compared to the Kronos, if you are looking for something a little bit more budget friendly and want to stay in the multi-pick family, the Kronos is nearly half the price, closer to around $250 compared to this $468 for the Artemis. But that is, I think that's just for the pick gun itself. I don't know what all the accoutrements come with in that, because it's been over a year since I reviewed that. This comes with the case and all, the charger and everything. I'm sure this comes with a charger too. But this guy right here, same price as the Kronos, and there's a world of difference in manufacturing and quality and everything else. For instance, let's just first talk about the sound that these guys make. Let's do with the competitors' sound. Okay, that was not my chainsaw. That was my electric pick gun. Now, let's take on the Multipick Kronos. What? I love that. I love it. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit louder when you put it inside of a lock, but that's what I love about these. It doesn't sound like, hey there, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm going to just get into your lock here real quick. Hold on one second. Yep, don't worry, it's just a few more minutes. Yep, hold on. That's ridiculous. That's retarded, because most of the things that are inside this product are probably just going to be cheap materials, plastics. I don't know. Maybe it's the fitment. Maybe it's the design. Maybe it's just the brand. I don't know. But this thing whispers to me like an electric toothbrush. You're going to get very similar out of this. Now, I don't have a pick in here. This is loose. So I'd say it's a little bit louder than the Kronos, but not as loud as their competitors. fell out because it wasn't tight, like I said. So let's talk about, that was the size, that was the sound. For the entire concept, we not only reduced the size of the individual components, but also used a completely new high-performance motor for the first time. Never used before in an electric pick, all parts were newly developed and adapted to the needs of the latest opening techniques. Due to its special structure, the high-performance motor has a very low inherent vibration, which results in a smooth and above all quiet operation. So that explains why multi-pick electric pick guns are so quiet. The multi-pick Artemis combines power, durability, control, and exclusivity in a compact design. We have given the multi-pick Artemis a special skin-friendly soft touch coating, not in the color white. So the color white is not in this special skin-friendly soft touch coating. This not only gives the tool an elegant look, but also helps you open the cylinder with precision and control. I never considered that. It kind of feels like there's a rubber coating on the outside of this that we don't have on the Artemis, and I don't have on other competitor models. This rubber coating feels grippy, but at the same time, it doesn't pick up debris or anything. It doesn't get dirty. And I like that. I was kind of trying to find a way to describe that, and I didn't have to. I could just read the description because I'm a dork. So with the multi-pick Artemis, we have achieved something that many thought would not be possible for a long time. We are the only manufacturer of lockpicking tools to offer a professional electric pick, which is handy in size and at the same time in no way inferior to a conventional tool. An electric pick that easily lasts for well over 2 hours, and like its big brother, the Kronos, almost guarantees opening success. All this shows true greatness and is the only thing that matters. So let's talk about that. This comes with a replaceable battery. Whoops. This comes with a battery. All I gotta do is twist off the back of this, and I can purchase spare batteries from Multipick, and I'm gonna get anywhere between 2 to 3 hours of usage on the battery. It's gonna be dependent upon the condition of the battery, the condition of the motor, and how much stress you're putting on the motor. Are you going a solid 2 hours, or you know, just bzz, 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 you know, like every watt now and then? I would imagine you could probably charge this once and then never have to charge it again for like a full year, because how often are you really going to use an electric pick gun compared to other conventional tools? But if you are into polite entry, this is a really great item to add to your kit because there's no skill involved with this, zero skill. So I keep in mind that this thing has batteries, and they are rechargeable, and you can carry multiple sets of batteries to extend your time. If you are that kind of guy that's just like, no, I got 6 hours worth of locks to pick today, so that's what I got to do. That's the one I would go with for that. Let's see here. Like all our tools, the Multipick Artemis is an exclusive piece of German engineering developed and produced here in Bonn. Of course, you can also use all our electric pick needles from our range of multi-pick Artemis. Let's talk about that. So it does come with a case of various tools here that you can fashion onto the end of this, and that's what we're gonna do. It comes with a star-shaped key here for attaching this guy. Let me do that real quick. So this goes like that, and right there. So I'm just going to get that thread going. I don't want to tighten it down all the way because then I want to get one of these tools in. Some of these are different lengths. We have a couple longer ones that short. I bent one for some reason. That was my fault, but I'll probably never use that one anyways. So there's a couple longer ones, a couple shorter ones. Some of these you can use like a hybrid style of picking. So like we have a diamond hook here, so I can actually do some raking while lifting. I think there's 2 different thicknesses in here. I should have had that written down, but I'm the worst reviewer in the entire world, so of course I didn't have that prepared. So we're just going to go with one of these generic ones here, and I like to put it in the position where my thumb is pushing on the button here and the flat portion is facing towards my thumb, and then all I got to do is tighten that down. You can obviously put it in however you want. Okay. That's still so quiet. Very quite comparable to the Kronos. Now that I have this thing tightened, it's very close. Nothing close to that one. That one's terrible. This is cool. Overall length, oh gosh, I don't know. We're gonna talk about that here in a second. Obviously, you may not be storing it with this pick, but at the same time, you don't wanna have to put that in the field. So we're gonna go with, we'll measure it in millimeters and inches. Why not? So with the pick in, we're looking at 6 plus 3 1/4. So we'll just call it 9 to 9 1/2. So we'll call it 9 1/4 inches. And for millimeters here, we can do 150 plus 85 math. That's 235 millimeters in length. And now why is that important? Let's talk about why that is. So I have a whole polite entry kit or bypass entry kit. It's basically like, I can't pick the lock. How else can I get into it? Easy. I just pull up my bag of tricks here and let's see, can I show you guys this real quick? So I just have a whole bag of tricks here of multi-pick tools with some other various tools that multi-pick doesn't supply at this point in time. And then another multi-pick set of lock picks. I've got my leashy tools here. This Artemis fits perfectly right here in my little case. We're not going to talk about the brand of the case right now because that's not what matters. What matters is that there are a lot of case options on the market. Look at that, it fits perfectly in here. And I don't really have to worry about this bending because I'm not gonna like set anything on top of this. But what I've done here is if you take the tool for removing your pick, if you're worried about your pick bending, just remove your pick. Hang on. So remove the pick and use a patch here and place it underneath the patch. See that? Isn't that smart? Isn't that keen? So that's what I did. So I keep it in my little bypass kit here. I've got all of the multi-pick bump hammer. I've got all the different bump keys here. I've got this rat tool here. I've got all the multi-pick bump hammer accessories. My plug spinner would fit in here, probably right here somewhere. And it just fits right here. I love this. I can still fit in a Chronos in this particular case, but I just have more options with this guy. This thing's so small, you can literally put it in your pocket. So that's the benefit of that size and form factor. Don't forget my pick here. And let's go back to our review. So this color is Storm Red. I specifically asked, I was like, hey, if you guys were in the market to send me an Artemis, maybe you could just send me one in red. That would be super cool because it's like a whole motif that I have going on. And sure enough, Santa Claus arrived and gave me a Storm Red multi-pick Artemis. God bless you guys. I love multi-picks so much. They're the best company in the world. Features that speak for the multi-pick Artemis: very compact structure, 25 by 181 millimeters. Okay, maybe my numbers are fudging a little bit. Space-saving size, powerful motor. Wow, was I really that far off on the... Did I do 50 plus 30 and call it 235? I'm terrible at math. So 150. Oh man, I was way off. How did I do that? How did I... Oh, because I was measuring with the pick. There we go. So it's 181 millimeters overall just on the unit by itself. All right, we didn't get that measurement. So this is about 181 millimeters by 25 millimeters wide, which is awesome. And if we're going in inches, just for the unit without the lockpick, it's going to be 6, and we'll call it 7 inches total. So 7 inches. Space-saving size, powerful motor, finely adjustable amplitude deflection. Say that 5 times on a date. Surface coat finish for safe working. Up to 3 hours operating time, which is absolutely amazing. I think a lot of other products in the market, I think they like top out at like an hour to an hour and a half. Designed for continuous use. Quick battery change system. 2-year warranty. Made in Germany. It couldn't get any better. Specifications: 2 lithium-ion battery, 3.7 volt, 400 milliamps. Needle deflection precisely adjustable from 1 to 4 millimeters at the needle chuck. So this would be the needle chuck. If I take my needle and I place it in the correct way, right here, we'll talk about that in a second, and then I tighten it up, I can adjust the throw of my chuck between 1 millimeter which is where it's at now. So what does that mean? The throw is 1 millimeter here. Yeah, that's about right. So it moves 1 millimeter, and then I can open up this chuck all the way, and it's stating that I'll probably get about 4 millimeters. Wow, I'd say it's even bigger. No, man, that's like 10 millimeters. I don't think that's ideal because keyways are going to be restricted. So let's tighten that chuck up a little bit. In North American terms, in imperial terms, I like to go for a 1/4 inch or less, about 1/8 of an inch. I just go by sight. Still too much? A little bit too much? That's perfect. And honestly, you could just go by sound. So this guy is about 1/4 inch at the end to 1/8 inch at the middle. That's what I'm looking for. For millimeter wise, it's about 5 millimeters. Yeah. So that's what I'm aiming for functionality. Now let's see here. And then idle speed is around 9,500 RPMs. Not that that matters. Weight with battery, approximately 190 grams. And we already talked about the dimensions and battery life and continuous operation, approximately 2 to 3 hours. So that's awesome. Guys, there's not much more to talk about this. Let's just go ahead and get into putting it into use. Hey folks, I have an assortment of locks here. We'll give this a try. The orientation that I have my pick in here is going to be the flat blade towards the pins, which also means that the flat blade is going to be on the same side as my chuck and my button. I want it on that side because as I use this tool, it's going to be going at an angle to my left here or down as I am oriented towards the pins. And then as it centers, it's going to be flat. So the throw is canted off at an angle here as in this orientation or downwards as I'm in relation to the pins. That's important because I want there to be a flat contact area for this pick to make contact with those key pins because I want all the key pins to be basically attacked at the same time. Very similar to a bump key. I do have unintelligent people sometimes commenting in my electric pick gun video, Sandman, you have your pick upside down. No, I don't. This curve here is at the bottom. It's to provide support for the flat surface on the top that makes contact with the key pins. And I want this side of my electric pick gun to make contact with the pins because it's going to reach center as it comes up, but it throws downward, if that makes sense, or throws to the left in this orientation. So I just want as much contact surface area with those key pins, and I want it to be flat at the height of its throw here. Okay, I want it to be flat, just like a bump key. That's it. That's all it is. I get people that have never picked a lock in their life commenting on my videos, and they're like, you're doing it wrong. I know, that's why I was able to pick all the locks. There we go. So I like to variable my tension just a little bit with that tensioning finger. That is a 4-pin Brinks brass, 4-pin brass padlock. Let's go with this made in China 40 millimeter. Be careful not to insert this in too deep to where you get stuck in these little columns here. And if you find yourself getting frustrated, just let go. Release, go all the way back to release those pins. And let's just start over. Hey, we got it. Just takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of time. All right, this is an American lock. This has 5 pins. This has all security pins, serrated, spooled, etc. Some of the key pins will have serrations too. However, due to transparency here, this is a marathon lock. These were being sold on eBay, and so it does come with 4 or 5, anywhere between like 3 to 5 master pins. These were master keyed, so it makes them just a little bit easier. It's still a green belt level lock, but it is just a little bit easier than an American lock without master pins, master wafers. So let's give this a try. Sometimes, because this does have spool pins, you are going to see this go into a false set. Let's see if we can get it into a false set. I'm actually not getting anything, so let's try this. We're gonna do some voodoo here. We're gonna use top of QA tension, and we're gonna use counterclockwise. I'm actually not gonna be touching this because it's right here at a corner, so it's just not gonna touch it. Let's give it a try. Hang on, my thumb is in a goofy angle here. I don't lose what I got. I think I'm in like a false set here. Let's use a thicker tension wrench for that top of QA. Yeah, that'll work. There we go. Look, we got it. These do pick counterclockwise. See that? But you're not going to unlock it that way. So what you got to do is you got to get yourself a multi-pick flip it tool. We're going to rotate in the opposite direction that we just picked it. Or excuse me, the same direction that we just picked it, so it flips in the opposite direction. There we go. And we got it. So it does pick American locks, at least this one, with those wafer pins. I don't know if it's gonna, I did a test with the Kronos, and it picked like half of my American locks. So that was pretty good. All right, last one. We do have this commercial style deadbolt here, made by Rekey Security. We're gonna pretend like we're walking up to somebody's place of business and we need to retract that bolt. So let's give that a try. In order to retract that, I have a feeling that I need to go this way. I mean, I just used the key, right? But I've already forgotten, honestly. So that's the direction that we're gonna try to pick this lock. There we go. Honestly, if this was a storefront, I'd be having my hand in this fashion right here. So let's try that. Let me back this up. I'm so sorry, folks. I'm the worst at making videos in the world. So let's give this a try. I got some movement in the core. I think that means a couple pins are set. There we go, look, got it. And we'll just use our tensioner to rotate it all the way. And that's it. I think this is a very excellent tool. Now, in my product testing, I have discovered that it will successfully pick a majority of locks that don't have security pins. But if I put out 10 locks that don't have security pins, it's going to pick well over 50%, but it's going to stop short of 100%. It's just because some locks are just picky, some locks are cruddy and gross, but it's usually between 50 to 100%. So let's just call it 75. You guys can call it 50 for all I care. but there's definitely a 50% opening rate. I have a whole video where I tested something like 50 locks over an hour's worth of picking, and I had a 50% effective rate from white belt all the way up to, I think, green or blue belt. As you get into the locks that do have the security pins, you're gonna start finding a much smaller opening rate, somewhere around 25% and less. So between 1 and 25%. So I'd say 1 in 10 to about, I don't know, 3 in 10 locks with security pins at about a green belt level. So we're just talking about random spool pins, random serrated pins. I do have a good chance of getting those. But when we start dealing with countermilling in locks like this, Brinks here, I do have countermilling in here. Sometimes these locks do have different type, like someone recently just found Brinks is now using torpedo key pins and all various types of serrated and spooled driver pins. You're going to run into a little bit more difficulty. This is really going to be great for your residential and commercial locks that are not filled to the gills with security pins. If it's filled with security pins, then you now have an excuse to say, ma'am, I'm sorry, this would be considered a medium to high security lock, and I'm just going to have to drill it. Folks, that's all I have for today. Let me know in the comments down below, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's worth it? If you cannot afford this unit, again, do remember that we do have the Kronos, which I just set down and I cannot find. That's crazy. It was just in front of me. Where is it? Sometimes I wonder if I'm like going crazy or if I'm just blind. There it is. Okay, here we go. So we do have the Kronos for half the price, but it is, I would say, about twice as thick, about twice in weight, and it's quite comparable though. I mean, if form factor is important to you, so you need this to be able to fit inside of a particular pouch, maybe it's on your vest or in a pocket, or maybe you are in a tactical environment, obviously this would be the way to go. Now, someone could say tactical, Sandman, but this makes noise. Not all things. You've clearly never been to war. Wars are pretty loud, so sometimes you just got to get into things. But this is the way I'd go for, let's say, a applied entry kit. This is the way I would go for, let's say, a locksmith or something like that. Either way, I realize it's not exactly for locksport necessarily, but I'm not picky, guys. I just love all things locks. So let me know in the comments down below, what are your thoughts? Do you think that this is something that you could see in your everyday kit? Is it something that you would just put into your car? Is this something that you don't need and maybe it's just for emergency first responders and for locksmiths? Like, who is this for? And do you want one? Let me know. I don't know, man. This is awesome. If Multipick would ever send me another one of these, I'd definitely do a giveaway at my Locksport meetup. Folks, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget 10% discount code, and I'll catch you guys next time.